Okay, it's time for the annual mental health discussion video. Now, I do this every year at this time of year, at the beginning of the year in January or February, and I will do it again probably later on in the year as well. Um, I find this a good vehicle to talk about it. And for those who've been subscribed to the channel for some time, you would have noticed that in November and December, I didn't make a lot of content. And I wasn't doing very well. I was very burnt out. I was struggling with my mental health. I was also struggling with fair few chest infections as well. So I wasn't particularly well over November and December, and work wasn't going well, and I was run down, and I was burnt out, and I was in a bit of a dark place. And then just one day, I decided to reach out to two close friends, and you would have noticed that some weekends I don't post a lot of content because I'm spending long weekends with them, helping them out, and it does me a lot of good going up to see my friends Charlie and his partner Nikki, and mucking around in their yard, working in his workshop, helping out his partner in the house, stuff like that. It gets me out of the flat and it gives me a nice break from the day job and sometimes from YouTube a little bit. While I find this platform has been actually beneficial to my mental health, making content about sport has been beneficial to my mental health, and generally it's a good hobby that I've had, and now it's earning me money, which has given me a little boost. There have been times where I have thought about giving up on the platform and withdrawing it within myself. And in November and December, I was feeling burnt out. I wasn't feeling very motivated, and I was at a very low ebb. Not the lowest I've been, but I was in a bit of a dark place, and I was struggling. And then I reached out to my close friends, and things have improved massively because I'm more open about stuff with them, which they knew was going on, but I hadn't reached out to them to say, look, I need your help. They were concerned about me and how I was doing because I was not communicating a lot with them, wasn't reaching out to them, I hadn't hung out with them for a while. And now we've got a plan in action where every so often I'll go up and help them out because they've had their own struggles with health issues, and they also have a lot of DIY to do, and I'm pretty handy with doing DIY and demolition. I've basically been roped in to do a lot of demo work, so it's fun doing that on weekends every so often. It gets me out of the flat. Otherwise, I would go mad if I was here every weekend. And on my time off, when I take vacation days from work, I would go mad if I spent every day here. So it's nice to have a break. But another reason why I do these mental health discussion videos is the majority of my audience is male, and the majority of my audience is between the ages of 18 and 50. And that big age demographic, the biggest killer of men is suicide. The biggest health concern that men have other than cancer is mental health. And it is a big subsection of society. That's a good third of the population of the UK, for example, falls under this category. And, the majority of my audience is in that age range and is male. And women seem to deal and discuss mental health better, and they seem to have a better support network. Now, whether that's actually true or not, I don't know, but it seems on the surface that seems to be the case, is that women are more open about their mental health struggles and discussions and their support networks when they reach out to friends and family. They seem to have better support on the surface. Now, studies have also proven that suicide rates with women are lower than in men. Although the age range of 18 to 50, the suicide rates are still higher for women than other age groups. But women seem to have, I wouldn't say more resilience, but they seem to have better support networks and are more open around their mental health. Now, as someone who has gone to several funerals of people who've sadly taken their lives young, and this is something that I've been grappling with since my mid-20s. I've had a lot of friends sadly pass away since 2016. 3 of them, unfortunately, did take their own lives, and they didn't talk about their struggles until it was too late, or we didn't know about their struggles until it was too late. And each one went a different path, but at the same time, they were all roughly the same age. And it was these are people that I used to go to the pub with, used to hang out with, work with, and it was heart wrenching, to lose them. And at the same time, and I'm going to link this to sport as well a little bit. At the same time, we've seen a lot of high-profile athletes either take their lives or have been very public and open around their mental health struggles. There's been some very famous high-profile coaches and athletes who have unfortunately decided that suicide was the preferable option than carrying on. And there's different circumstances in each case. I think one of the most famous ones here in the UK is Gary Speed. Sadly, a very talented player and coach, and I remember watching him as a kid play for Newcastle, and he was a fantastic player. He played for a lot of clubs, but he was, really good at Leeds as well. And my formative years watching the Premier League and the FA Cup, he was a brilliant player. He was also a very talented young coach. When he retired, he's the reason why Wales are now the position they're in on the fringe of qualifying for tournaments and a much better footballing nation, because he put the pathways in place and built the building blocks. That is now the system that is the Wales international side doing remarkably better than before he took over. And his last public appearance was on Football Focus, and within 12 hours of that Football Focus appearance, he was no longer with us. So that's a famous example I'm going to use here. And again, he's in that age demographic of 18 to 50, and unfortunately, we still have a stigma around discussing mental health. And I've seen it at my own day job in my own workplace. I have seen it. And it's a very toxic stigma, because there are some in my workplace who say, just man up. And they see you as weaker or inferior because you are having a struggle and you want to talk about it. Some of the toughest sons of bitches I know have gone through some very dark times. And I mean very dark times. And it is they this public macho front that a lot of men put on is covering the fact that actually they are struggling, and they're too scared to speak out because of the stigma and the negativity surrounding it. Now, we've seen a lot of advertising campaigns where sport, for example, Norwich City very famously over the last couple of years has used a very powerful advertising campaign alongside their sponsors around mental health. Two fans who sit next to each other who season ticket holders. One is very lively and passionate at the game. The other one seems very quiet. And the question is, which one do you think is going to take his life? It's the loud, passionate one, not the quiet one. The quiet one is left even more heartbroken because his friend who used to sit next to him is no longer there. And that's a very powerful campaign. It is a very, very powerful campaign. And Norwich City need 100%, applause for what they are doing there in making a very powerful ad campaign to just raise the awareness. And unfortunately, this is still an issue. This is 2025. Now, yes, times are economically tough. We've seen a lot of negative headlines in a lot of areas: inflation, wage growth stagnation, living standards not being great, unemployment rates potentially going up, the economy not doing well, a whole variety of negative headlines. And that also then puts pressure on people to provide for their families and find work. And it is tough. And unfortunately, there's not enough positivity put out there about positive discussions and positive, just looking out for each other. One thing I'm very, very proud of with this channel and the community we built is there's a very positive comment section. There's a real good community we built and a good discussion that we have in a lot of areas. And it was, what was it, last week, the Motherwell manager resigned because of the abuse he was receiving from fans because the team was struggling and it was taking a toll on himself and his family, and so he stepped away. Now, that's not right. Okay, professional sport is cutthroat. There is a lot of pressure, and there's a lot of fans are a passionate bunch. They are. Unfortunately, there are those who cross the line, and I think a lot of people tend to forget these players and these coaches and these athletes are human beings. They are human beings. And I think we need to be a little bit more mindful of our own actions to others, and also be more mindful of our own mental health and physical health as well. Because in November and December, I was under the weather a lot as well. I had a lot of chest infections. My shoulder injury, that is an ongoing health concern, was really playing up, so I was in a lot of pain as well. And that was also impacting my mental health because I felt tired, I felt worn out, I felt burnt out, I felt just really run down. And, I wasn't really talking to people about how I was struggling. I was more grumpy than normal. I was more argumentative than normal. The last month or so, things are starting to look up because I've got a lot more positivity. I've got a bit more structure and a bit more planning, and I'm trying. And when the holiday year restarts at my work in April, I'm going to be balancing out the work-life balance better by taking and balancing out my holiday allocation over the year in a better way. I mismanaged the work-life balance, which is also crucial. So I'm going to leave with this message. Please look after each other. Look after your mates. And this could also apply to women as well, but women seem to have a better support network for whatever reason. Now, I think studies have also backed some of that up. It seems on the surface that women are better at talking about their mental health with their friends and family and work colleagues, but I do think we need a lot more compassion and respect amongst people, because while this channel and the community we built is fantastic, I go on other channels and I look at the comment section, and oh my god, it is a sewer of humanity sometimes. And I try and ask viewers to keep the comment section as clean as possible. There'll be some people that get very passionate about certain things, like certain coaching appointments, certain player movement, certain team performances, and there will be frustration and passion there. But at the same time, we have to remember that we're all human beings. We all have, strengths and weaknesses. So if I can leave with a parting message, look after each other, look after your friends, reach out to them. If you think a friend is struggling, don't be silent. Check on them. And if you are struggling, just reach out to a friend. There's nothing better than literally just chilling out with one of your best mates you may not have seen for a while, just having a cup of tea, or even if you do drink an alcoholic adult beverage, sit down, have a chat, have a chin wag, maybe watch the football, watch the rugby, watch the cricket, watch the Super Bowl, whatever you may do, and just do activities that can help take people out of that dark place. Doing outdoor activities is good, and not enough people go outside and enjoy the fresh air. Fresh air is good for you. Vitamin D is good for you, ironically. Yes, the weather's a bit crap right now, but even sometimes when the weather's not great, still go outside. And find activities that can give positive, positive vibes. Even if it's reading a book, watching films, listening to some music, something just to take a break from just the grind that is day-to-day life, because it is tough at the moment. There's no hiding from that, but just look after each other and look after your friends. And we need to start chipping away at the stigma that talking about men's mental health, for example, is weak, because we are still losing far too many under the age of 50. Far too many are going young with a life unfulfilled because they're scared of opening up, because the stigma is they're seen as weak. So from me to all of you, please take care of yourselves, look after each other, and I hope to see all of you back here in the views and the comment section and the likes and the shares when we get back to the sports content later today. But from me for now, thank you very much for watching, and as I say, please look after each other, hang out with each other, respect each other, and let's break the stigma surrounding men's mental health. But from me for now, it is goodbye.